Mulan is out this week. Well, as you know, this is a remake of the 1998 Disney animated movie of the same name, and I thought, what better way to prepare for this remake than rewatching the original? And while I'm at it, analyzing Mulan's journey. And not just any kind of journey, the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell's book from 1949. And you can check out my previous video where I go into more detail about this book and the hero's journey. And today I'm going to just summarize each step of this journey and talk more about Mulan, and at least some parts of the 2020 movie. So the first step in the hero's journey is, of course, the call to adventure. Now, Mulan's ordinary world is her family life on the farm and traditional expectations of her, so getting married, basically. However, she is not motivated at all to participate in this role prepared for her and is only kind of playing along not to displease her family. Then an imperial officer announces a recruitment campaign because of war with the Huns. Mulan's father has to go to war as the only man in the family, and seeing that her father is too old for the call, Mulan takes it upon herself to replace him, basically, without telling anyone. The next step is refusal of the call. So this is when the hero has some doubts about his or her decision. So Mulan, after making the decision, feels unsure if she can pull it off, if she can pose as a man and manage to join the army. Her reluctance does not last long because she kind of has no other choice. The next step is supernatural aid. Now in Mulan there is a clear supernatural being that aids Mulan. This is the dragon Mushu. And it's interesting how his arc parallels that of Mulan in that he also must prove his worth as he had been demoted from the position among the spiritual protectors of the family. So his clear mission is to aid Mulan. The next step is crossing the threshold. This is pretty clear when Mulan steps into the war camp. So she's literally leaving her usual world and stepping into the world, the unknown world of men, the army, the training, and of course getting into trouble. The next step is belly of the whale. This is basically when the hero finds him or herself unprepared for the strange new world, and a first realization appears that there needs to be a sort of metamorphosis of the hero. There needs to be a kind of a change. The belly also represents the final separation between the hero and the normal, usual, known world. So the training for Mulan is the final separation from the known world and a final separation from the former farmer girl self. So here Mulan enters the belly of the whale when she and her fellow soldiers encounter the destruction from the Huns. Faced by this belly, this low point, she does not budge or run from it. She embraces what falling to the belly of the whale implies. She realizes her mortality and the cruelty of the world and loses, in a way, her innocence. The next step is the road of trials. This is pretty self-explanatory, and as Joseph Campbell writes, this is a very popular motif or popular part of the hero's journey in many different stories across the world and across time. So usually there are 3 sets of trials. For Mulan, the first trial is the attack of the Huns, the second one is surviving the avalanche, and the third one is being revealed as a woman. To her credit, she overcomes all of them by her bravery, wit, and earned friendships. The next step in the hero's journey is supposed to be the meeting with the goddess. This is where the hero gains some sort of items that will help them in the future, but in Mulan's journey this is skipped, and this is not unusual. Some stories skip certain steps. It's not a requirement for a story to have all of the steps. In fact, Joseph Campbell writes that a story could consist of even 3 or 4 of these steps, and that would already be a complete story. However, the next step is really present. So the next step is the woman as a temptress. In this step, woman is the metaphor for the temptations of life. The hero faces temptations and his mind is clouded by doubt. The hero is pondering leaving the quest. So for Mulan, this happens when she is left in the mountains by her friends. Mulan, again, is confronted with the fact that she is indeed a woman, in this culture meant for womanly things like marriage, or at the very least, not meant for war. So this is what she is telling herself in that moment. After all the trials and tribulations that she had endured, she is now tired and cold and sad. She is discouraged and she wants to go home and face the consequences of her running away and joining the army. This is the lowest point in her journey. The next step is atonement with the father. Now, this step is kind of when the hero meets something that holds, as Joseph Campbell writes, ultimate power in the life of the hero. It's a bit of a vague description, but basically this is kind of the emotional center point of the journey. All previous steps have been moving into this place, and the rest of the journey will move out of this space, of this place in the story. So a lot of action happens between the previous step and this step, and basically the atonement occurs when Mulan defeats the bad guy again, and she is confronted by the metaphorical father for her, so the emperor, because he literally holds incredible power over her, as well as the rest of the country. And the kind of power he holds is both in the present moment, because she broke the law and must be executed by the laws of that time and that place, and also he holds the power in a general sense. This power is the social construction of the woman having a set role to play in this society, as well as the man. But it just happens that Mulan does not want to obey this construct. The next step is called Apotheosis. This is the point of realization of the quest. The hero understands something. So for Mulan, the emperor forgives her and proclaims her a hero of China. And with this, we can expect that the discrimination of women will start crumbling. Next step is the ultimate boon. This is basically the price of the whole quest. For Mulan, this is the recognition of her as a hero of China. So she wanted to overcome her fate, and she achieved more than she could have hoped for. But she also wanted to make good for her family, which she also does. She brings both honor and, we are led to believe, marriage to the captain, or now he is the general, I guess. Okay, so the next step is refusal of the call, and is actually the last step in this journey because all the other steps basically do not exist in Mulan. So this is the final step, refusal of the return, which is when the hero kind of enjoys the place where he or she is at the moment of winning, of obtaining the ultimate boon, and they don't really necessarily want to return to the ordinary world to share the boon with the fellow society, fellow people. And this is kind of interesting about Mulan, the original animated series, because the rest of the journey is not known to us. We don't know if Mulan agrees to marry Li Shang, who is, fun fact, voiced by Jackie Chan in the movie. So we don't know if she wants to marry him, or maybe she wants to reconsider the invitation by the emperor to become his advisor. Maybe she will find it more comfortable to remain the hero of China and not to become merely someone's wife, even if it's Li Shang who she loves. So this is an open ending in this sense. And I'm sure we'll see more of this in the upcoming film. Now, there's also a 2009 movie, a Chinese movie, called Hua Mulan, which is another take on the actual legend of Mulan, which is close to the plot of 98 Mulan. Jinhua Li wrote a chapter in a book. They compare Mulan, Disney's Mulan, and China's Mulan. And this is what they have to say. While Mulan appropriates a Chinese legend to reinforce its own popular cultural globalization and homogenization, Hua Mulan de-Disneyfies Mulan by inscribing a politicized discourse of national patriotism. So Mulan, the Disney Mulan Disneyfies and westernizes a Chinese legend through a process by which one culture is transformed by another, and the Chinese Mulan is the transformed Chinese culture's attempt to take back one of its own cultural legacies. These two films potentialize a cross-cultural cinematic dialogue on gender, politics, and representation, mediated by different reconstructions of the Mulan narrative. So basically what this says is that Disney put Mulan in the same line of princesses of their previous films, trying to homogenize this Chinese hero. And the Chinese 2009 movie challenges that and provides own narrative. This offers a dialogue between the US, or specifically Disney, and Chinese movie-making industry. So it's quite interesting what the new movie will turn out to be. So this was Mulan. I hope you liked this dissection. Maybe it helped you discover things about Mulan that you didn't expect were there. Stick around for other dissections. I'm preparing something in this series connected to the new Dune movie, which will be out in November. So stick around.